Hello and welcome to Digital Photography. My name is Jennifer Mace. I will be your instructor this semester. I'm going to be making a lot of these videos to help you through each assignment. If you ever have any questions about anything, I will tell you that Adobe makes some really wonderful videos. They want you to use their software, and so there's a ton of information out there for you. You just have to kind of look for it. And I'll try to attach as many links as I can throughout the semester. So this is what Photoshop looks like after you've been playing with it for a little while. When you open it up, it has some of the recent images you've worked on. And then you have two options over here. There's also, if you're downloading it for the first time, there is going to be a take a tour link in the middle of the page, and it's not a bad idea. You know, Photoshop can be very difficult to maneuver, but once you get the hang of it, it's really quite easy and a lot of fun to play with. So we have two different options over here. Create new is when you want to do a collage type of composite photograph. We're not going to be doing that just yet. So what we want to do is we want to look at the images that we've taken. Each week you will have a certain assignment, and you will plug in your SD card to review the images that you want to turn in. So this is how you decide which two images you're going to turn in. In addition to those two images that you're going to turn in, you're going to be making a contact sheet. So what we're going to talk about in this video is just what Photoshop looks like and what are the important parts of Photoshop. So we're just going to open here. Okay, and I was just doing this video before, so it's already kind of open to the last place I was, but this is where you find your SD card on your computer. I'm working with a Mac, and I have mine on an external hard drive. So I will go down and look for Photos Mine and click on these. These are just some random photographs that I use as instruction. And some of them, you know, it's kind of a little bit of everything in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a few of the ones that I think are looking pretty interesting. You can see I've played with these a lot. So I'm going to do the dog. So I'm just going through. Let's see. I went to the recycling place to take some pictures there. So look at that. All right. So all I'm doing is holding down the Command button or the Alt key, and just clicking on the different images that I'm thinking I want to use. I can jump around, I can go kind of wherever I want to go. Let's see what's going on. Okay, then I'm going to let go of the Command key and hit open. What's going to happen is now the software is just opening up all the images, and you can see up at the top here it's got all the different tabs of each image. So if you want to look at a different image, you can click through the different tabs. Oh, that one I put text on. This one I took in a bathroom stall at a truck stop. This was the graffiti torn into the women's bathroom. Okay, so we'll just use this to get started here. Now, if you open up Photoshop for the first time, your workstation may look more like this. And it has this wonderful learn aspect. Again, it's showing you some tutorials. Again, Adobe's really great at that. We don't necessarily need those right now. I'm going to kind of show you the workspace on my own, so I'm just going to close that. These are what's called the palettes. They have many things stacked on the palettes. You can add to the things, but we will be using these tabs quite a bit. The layers is very important, and the adjustments are very important. There are other things you can add to this, and if you go to the Windows tab, you can see there's so many different channel, or I like history. I like to show history. It shows you everything you've done. So the first thing I did was open. The next thing I do, it will show this here. So it's a really good way of kind of going back and previewing what you know, or undoing things. If you want this in with the big tabs, all you got to do is click and drag, and you notice the blue mark that kind of came over it. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Nope. I think I moved the edge here. Oh, what did I do? I got rid of that, and I don't want that. I need to see my adjustments. And yeah, so let's do it this way. So these are all malleable palettes. They can be moved around. I'm not sure what I did. There we go. So now I have them all kind of the same on one palette. I could move them out and then maybe in between. There we go. And maybe put the history there. Properties. Let's go there. And I can move those around. So you just kind of have to kind of click and drag. But again, if you want more or fewer, you might want to play around with these. Eventually you'll find the ones that you use the most. You're not doing anything to permanently damage the workspace. If you ever need to reset it, you can see here there's different graphic design and web design settings. We'll have different tools and different options. The photography is photo specific. Again, the adjustments is a very important one in the layers, so that for sure has those. It also kind of changes the tools here. So, and then painting, motion, 3D. But we can also just reset essentials, and that will take you back to like the factory settings basically. Okay, so those are your palettes over here. That means we can stack things on top of each other. And this is the adjustment tools. So on the left hand side we have all of our actual tools, and if you start clicking on them and you hold your mouse over it, click it, it will show you if you have options, different options below. Usually it's indicated by a very teeny tiny little triangle, but it's the move tool. They all have functions. This is the selection tool, or what we call well, yeah, it's really kind of a marquee, but it's a selection. It's used for selecting. Same with the lasso, quick selection, magic wand, the cropping tool. And if you notice, if I click on it, you'll see that the tool option bar up here will change depending upon what tool is selected. So there's so many different ways you can manipulate your photographs or improve or do whatever. So it's really kind of quite cool. All right, so again, if you hold your mouse down, click your mouse, you will see if there's optional other options below. And usually what they're doing is they're putting older versions of the tool underneath. But the one that's not like that is this dodge tool. It kind of looks like a lollipop. This is a dodge and burn and sponge. These all have been around for a long time, but they've just kind of flattened them under one tool. You'll have to learn, because sometimes if you use the burn tool, which is the tool that makes part of your picture darker, so if you see up here, you see this kind of light bouncing off the glossy paint of the bathroom door. It's a brush. This tool is kind of like a brush, so I can make it bigger, and then the burn will make part of this image darker if I click and kind of paint and drag over it. And you see how that got rid of that shine there. you can expose, you can change if it's working on your highlights, midtones, or shadows. You can change the exposure. You can make it more strong. Although I don't like to use this tool with 100% because it takes a little bit of finessing. And so, you know, there's all kinds of options up there. And so sometimes you might leave this there when you're looking for the dodge tool. So you will become to kind of recognize some of the tools that are hidden below. So don't worry about that right now. It'll happen over time. Down at the bottom we have our color picker, and this means the background and the foreground. The background, every picture, every time you open it in Photoshop, there's like a canvas, there's like a backing, and it's the exact same size as your photograph. And we can make it bigger, we can change its color, any of those things. If you click on this, the color picker rather, will show up, and you can pick any color in the rainbow that you can use to paint or add text or whatever, and that's how you get to it. You can also just go over to this color swatch and double click on that, and that can help you pick your colors, and you'll see that it'll change here. And then you can change the background as well the same way. Okay, just here, and then that arrow kind of flips them back and forth. Okay, all right, so that's the tools. Those are the kind of instructions that you apply to the photograph. The adjustments are ways that you can improve the photograph. You can include its brightness, contrast. The levels is something I use a lot. This shows you a range of highlights and lowlights, and you can see it's just basically black and white. So I'm spiking on the black and on the white here. And we will go through all of these, so don't worry if you're panicking because I'm going really fast. This is just to introduce you to the space. Now, every time I clicked on an adjustment layer, it gave me another layer on top of my image. And this is really kind of interesting stuff. We have the little eye that shows us. Actually, let me do these again real quick. Excuse my. I can't see. Where's the? I can't see my trash can. There we go. I have too many things open on this computer right now, but we'll be fine in a second. Okay. All right, so if I did the brightness contrast, let's say I just brighten this thing up. Well, that brings my highlight back. Let's darken it. Yeah. Ooh, kind of got broken down a little bit. So somewhere there. And then I do levels, which I just scrolled down a little bit so it showed me the whole levels palette. And so if I want to make my blacks blacker, I bring, or add contrast, I bring these toggles closer together, and you can see how my blacks are getting darker. And then let's just do, this kind of doesn't make sense with this image, but this changes the contrast. Okay, so what I was saying was on your layers palette, all of these adjustments are here, but they have not corrupted our original photograph. And that's kind of the power of Photoshop. A lot of the free software out there, you can do similar things, but it always affects your main image. And this way, it's just a non-corrosive way of making adjustments to your image. So let's look. So I can if I turn the eyeballs off, it shows me what it was like before and after. And I'm really seeing the difference kind of down here. So that's what it's on, and there it's off. So I'll just leave that off. This is the levels before and after. Again, you know, it's happening kind of around the edges. And then this was a brightness contrast before. Whoops, let me turn that off. All right, so it's you can kind of see what it looks like. The other thing is this little thumbnail that's all white, it indicates to us that we're applying this to the entire image, not just a portion of it. Because another great thing about Photoshop is that we can select out certain areas to make adjustments to while leaving everything else alone. But again, we'll get to that. Okay, so up here along the top, these are the Photoshop tabs, very similar to like any Word document or any program. The topics just have to do with photography instead of like writing a paper. So you can see all of these different things and have fun and go through these. There's so much you can do, really, and you know, you're not going to break anything. But so these are the main tabs. When we go to save, we always do a save as. You know, we can change the image size and canvas size and rotate the image. We can do all of that through here. Okay. All right, so this, I was just introducing you to the software, and hopefully you'll play around with this for a minute or two and just become familiar. Don't be afraid to play.